The next 72 hours. In the grand timeline of history, 3 days feels insignificant, but right now we are standing on a precipice. The next 72 hours are not just critical for South America, they are decisive for the entire world. We are watching a geopolitical game of chess where the board is about to be flipped. If the United States succeeds in establishing total control over Venezuela, and let's be clear, we are talking about securing the world's largest proven oil reserves, it marks a tectonic shift in the global balance of power. But here is the question no one on mainstream media is asking. Why now? And at what cost? Today we are going to look past the headlines. We aren't going to talk about the surface-level narratives of restoring democracy or protecting human rights. We are going to talk about what this is really about: energy dominance, the survival of the petrodollar, and most terrifyingly, how the road to Caracas might actually be paving the way for a war with Iran. Based on the insightful analysis of journalist Ibrahim Majid, let's decode the future of the world order. Let's start with the elephant in the room, or rather, the ocean of oil beneath the ground. If this intervention succeeds, the United States indirectly gains control over the single largest accumulation of fossil fuel energy on the planet. Now, the official narrative you will hear from the White House, the State Department, and Western media is that this is a humanitarian mission. They will tell you this is about restoring constitutional order. But history tells us a different story. Nations do not mobilize aircraft carriers and levy crippling sanctions just for the sake of moral righteousness. This move is about strategic supremacy. By controlling Venezuela, Washington isn't just changing a government. They are securing the energy supply lines for the next half-century. They are securing trade routes in the Caribbean and cutting off the influence of rival powers like Russia and China in the Western Hemisphere. Think about it. In a world where energy is the currency of power, holding the keys to the Venezuelan vault allows the U.S. to dictate terms not just to its enemies but to its allies as well. This is a resource grab that resets the board. It is about ensuring that no matter what happens in the rest of the world, the United States keeps the lights on and the engines running. Today, we are going to look past the headlines. We aren't going to talk about the surface-level narratives of restoring democracy or protecting human rights. We are going to talk about what this is really about: energy dominance, the survival of the petrodollar, and most terrifyingly, how the road to Caracas might actually be paving the way for a war with Iran. Based on the insightful analysis of journalist Ibrahim Majid, let's decode the future of the world order. And this brings us to the most chilling part of Ibrahim Majid's analysis. This isn't just about South America. If you want to understand Venezuela, you have to look at the Middle East, specifically Iran. For decades, the biggest deterrent preventing a full-scale U.S. conflict with Iran has been the supply shock. Iran sits on the Strait of Hormuz. If war breaks out, that strait closes. If that strait closes, a massive chunk of the world's oil supply vanishes overnight. Prices would skyrocket to $200 or $300 a barrel. The global economy would collapse. That fear has been Iran's greatest shield. But what happens if the U.S. controls Venezuela? Suddenly, Washington has an insurance policy. By securing a reliable, massive alternative source of heavy crude oil in its own backyard, the United States is building a safety net. If the U.S. controls Venezuelan oil, they are no longer as vulnerable to disruptions in the Persian Gulf. They can absorb the shock. If the Strait of Hormuz closes, the Venezuelan pumps work overtime. This changes the calculus of war. With Venezuela secured, the economic cost of escalating tensions with Iran drops significantly. A military confrontation with Tehran becomes more politically and economically viable for Washington because they know they have a backup plan. In this scenario, Iran moves to the very top of Washington's strategic hit list. The Venezuelan shield allows the U.S. to take risks in the Middle East that were previously unthinkable. Think about it. In a world where energy is the currency of power, holding the keys to the Venezuelan vault allows the U.S. to dictate terms not just to its enemies but to its allies as well. This is a resource grab that resets the board. It is about ensuring that no matter what happens in the rest of the world, the United States keeps the lights on and the engines running. We also have to talk about the currency of the realm, the dollar. We are living in an era where the US dollar is under threat. We see the rise of BRICS. We see nations trading oil in yuan or rubles. The US hegemony is being challenged. Gaining control over Venezuelan oil is a direct injection of adrenaline into the Petro-Dollar system. If the world's largest reserves are traded exclusively in US dollars, under US supervision, it reinforces the dollar's central role in global energy markets. It upholds the financial architecture that allows the US to print money and run deficits. It protects the very foundation of American financial power. Furthermore, this sets a strategic precedent. This operation is a message to the world. It is a demonstration that through a combination of economic strangulation, political engineering, and the threat of military force, the United States can and will deconstruct sovereign nations to reshape the global balance of power. It signals that the borders of sovereign nations are permeable if they conflict with Washington's strategic interests. This is about reasserting the dominance of the unipolar world. Think about it. But there is a massive if in this equation. So, when you see the headlines over the next 72 hours, don't just think about Caracas. Think about Tehran. Think about the Strait of Hormuz. Think about the price of gas at your local station and the value of the money in your bank account. The events unfolding in Venezuela are not limited to Latin America. They are determining the future of energy control, the limits of American power, and the direction of the next major geopolitical conflict. The board is set, the pieces are moving, and the world is holding its breath. I'm from WX Plain Desk, analyzing the shifts in our world. If you found this analysis helpful, please share this video, because people need to understand the bigger picture. Subscribe for more geopolitical breakdowns, and let me know in the comments. Do you think this intervention leads to a war with Iran? I'll see you in the next one.